To provide a clear roadmap for this presentation, we will begin by examining how the United States arrived at its current healthcare landscape, tracing it back to the mid 20th century. We will then discuss why healthcare is not just a social issue, but a critical driver of economic prosperity and stability. A key part of this presentation involves applying what we have learned in the course, specifically how linkage institutions and interest groups shape the laws that govern our life. We will weigh the competing arguments for and against government intervention versus market freedom before I present my proposed solution. A national public option, this hybrid model aims to bridge the gap between providing a universal safety net and maintaining a competitive marketplace. To understand where we are going, we must look at where we started. U.S. healthcare policy has historically moved in small, incremental steps rather than through sudden, total overhauls. The most significant turning point was in 1965 with the creation of Medicare and Medicaid, which established the government's role in providing a safety net for the elderly and those with low income. Fast forward to 2010, the Affordable Care Act, ACA, represents the most significant expansion of healthcare coverage in generations, as noted by Blumenthal at AI 2020. In their 10-year retrospective, the ACA introduced maintenance and subsidies that successfully expands the insurance market to millions who were previously excluded. However, despite these efforts, the U.S. remains an outlier among developed nations. Data from the Commonwealth Fund's 2024 indicates that roughly 26 to 30 million Americans still lack coverage. This persists gap highlights a fragmented system that, as Arberlander in 2018 argues, necessities of public option to bring the remaining distance toward true universal access. Why is addressing this policy topic so vital? First and foremost, it is about financial stability, as we've discussed regarding economic prosperity. A system where a single illness can lead to bankruptcy is a system with a major leak. As case in Deaton 2020 demonstrate, medical debt is currently a leading driver of economic insecurity and personal bankruptcy in our country, which acts as a drag on the overall economy. Furthermore, from a labor perspective, universal access ensures a healthcare workforce. When people can access preventive care, they are less likely to miss work for a long-time illness. Hacker 2019 notes that reducing these individual risks directly supports national productivity and the gross domestic product (GDP) by preventing shocks to a family financial health care. Finally, it is a matter of equity as highlighted in the Mirror 2024 reports by the Commonwealth Fund ensuring that healthcare is decoupled from employment status allows for greater social mobility in addressing the systemic disparities. that have historically sidelined certain communities from the American dream of prosperity. To personalize this topic to our course, we have to look at healthcare through the lens of pluralism. As we have learned from Dow and Steinbricker 2017, leakage institutions like interest groups are the primary way citizens connect with the government. In the healthcare debate, we see this competition as the most intense. On one side, you have powerful interest groups like the insurance industry and the American Medical Association, which often engage in inside lobbying to protect their professional and financial interests. A dynamic Arblender note as a major hurdle for reform. On the other side, you have patient advocacy groups and labor unions pushing for broader access. This constant tug of war is exact why healthcare reform is rarely a straight line. It is the result of a pluralist struggle in which many voices compete to define what our fiscal policy should prioritize. Understanding this through the framework of political analysts helps us see why a public option is a politically void solution. It seeks to appease multiple groups rather than eliminate them. When we look at the arguments in favor of universal health care, we often start with the economic benefits. One of the strongest points is cost control. In our current fragmented system, individual insurers have limited power, but as Rice et al. 2021 and the Commonwealth Fund 2024 demonstrates, a universal or public option system allows the government to negotiate prices for goods and services on a national scale. This is a direct application of using a large buyer's block to keep inflation in check within the medical sector. Beyond the numbers lies the arguments of economic mobility. Many Americans suffer from what Hacker 2019 calls job lock. They stay in jobs they may be overqualified for simply because they cannot risk losing their health benefits. By decoupling insurance from employment, we encourage entrepreneurship and a more fluid, efficient labor market. Finally, Perkins argued that in a modern democracy, ensuring this general welfare, a concept explored in DHL and Steinbrecker's 2017 analysis of democratic foundations, requires that basic health is treated as a right, ensuring every citizen has the foundation needed to pursue prosperity. It is equally important to address the opposition's arguments. Critics primarily focus on fiscal policy. A transition to a universal system would require massive infusion of government spending, which Gruber 2022 noted could lead to unsustainable budget deficits or require tax hikes that might slow down the broader economy. From a laissez-faire economy perspective, the argument is that private markets are better at innovating and managing costs through competition than a government bureaucracy. As Rice et al. 2021 observed, there is also a present fear of patient care. Critics often point to other national systems where wait time for non-emergency procedures can be longer than they are in the current U.S. system. A concern frequently highlighted in the Commonwealth Fund 2024 International compares. Finally, there is the concern of the transition itself, as Arberlander 2018 points out. Movements such as large sector of our economy from private to public control can create significant volatility and job loss within the private insurance industry. Having weighted the benefits and the risks, my proposed solution is the implementation of a national public option. This is a hybrid approach that bridges the gap between our current system and a fully socialized model. Under this policy, the government would create a non-profit health insurance plan that competes directly with private insurers or on the open market. This solution is rooted in the Keynesian economic idea that government intervention can correct market failures, specifically the failure of the private market to provide affordable coverage to everyone. By keeping the private sector active, we preserve the laissez-faire value of choice, while ensuring that no citizen is left without an affordable, high-quality option. As Urbanlander 2018 suggests, this incremental approach creates a safety floor for the economy, assuring that health coverage remains portable and consistent regardless of where someone works. The primary benefit of a public option is the healthcare pressure it places on the market. In a standard laissez-faire model, competition drives prices down. However, in healthcare, that competition is often stalled by a lack of transparent alternatives. As Rice et al. 2021 notes, a public option acts as a benchmark. Private insurers will have to innovate and lower their overhead to remain an attractive choice compared to the government run plan. The Commonwealth Fund 2024 identifies as a key to lowering national health care. From a fiscal policy perspective, this is actually an efficiency gain. Currently, the government and taxpayers bear the high cost of emergency room visits for the uninsured, which Blumenthal et al. 2021 argue is the most expensive way to deliver care. By providing a public option, we shift those individuals into primary and prevention care, which is much cheaper and more effective. Most importantly, it preserves the American value of choice. We aren't forcing everyone into the system, as Arberlander 2018 emphasizes. We are simply ensuring that an affordable, high-quality system exists for everyone, which is a key component of national economic prosperity. While the public option is a balanced solution, we must be realistic about its challenge. First, from a fiscal policy standpoint, we have to address the startup cost. As Gruber 2022 points out, this may require a progressive tax adjustment, where those who benefit from the country's economic stability contribute a bit more, or a major reallocation of existing healthcare spending. There's also economic risk of crowding out. Rice et al. 2021 note that if the public option is too efficient, it might drive smaller private insurers out of business entirely, leading to short-term job losses in the insurance sector. Furthermore, building the administrative Infrastructure to handle this transition is a massive undertaking for the government, a point emphasized by Blumenthal ETAI 2020 in their analysis of federal policy implementation. Finally, as we've learned in our study of pluralism, the political resistance will be imminent, as Oberlander 2018 and Deschaux and Steinbrecher 2017 argue interest group that privates from the current system will use their influence and inside lobbying to push back success with while require significant political while and public supports to break through the established political barriers. To put our situation in perspective, let's look at how the United States compares globally. And currently, we spend a significant higher percentage of our gross domestic product on healthcare than any other wealthy nation. Yet, our healthcare outcomes such as life expectancy often lag behind. According to the Mirror 2024 reports by the Commonwealth Fund, the U.S. continues to rank last among high-income nations in access to care, administrative efficiency, and equity, despite its record high spending. If we look at countries like Germany or France, they don't necessarily have a government-only system. Instead, they use a hybrid model, as described by Rice et al. 2021, in which the government ensures a high floor of coverage while allowing private competition. This proves allowing private competition is just not just a Keynesian dream. It is a practical reality that drives greater economic efficiency. By adopting a public option, the U.S. can reduce the massive administrative overhead that Blumenthal ETAI 2021 and Gerber 2022 identify as a primary driver of costs, redirecting those funds toward actual patient care and national prosperity. In conclusion, the debate over universal healthcare is often presented as a choice between two extremes, a completely private system or completely government-run one. However, as we have explored today, a national public options offers a strategic middle ground. It fulfills our democratic responsibility to provide for the general welfare without dismantling the competitive market that drives innovation. By implementing this policy, we address the two primary economic goals we've studied. We create stability by eliminating the threat of medical bankruptcy, and we promote prosperity by ensuring every American has the physical health necessary to contribute to our economy. This is not just a healthcare policy, it is a economic and political imperative that aligns with the pluralist value of our nation. It ensures that healthcare remains a bridge to the American dream rather than a barrier to it.